While I was cowering in fear because of all the events that I had witnessed, I then looked up and I saw who the perpetrator was. I woke up in shock, gasping for breath. I had just had a dream, but I couldn't remember it. I pushed away the strange feeling that was bothering me and looked at the clock. It was 3 a.m. I was never afraid of the dark, but there was something unusual tonight. I felt like someone was watching me. I live in a 2-story house equipped with many mirrors. My father had arranged the mirrors so that if you stand in the right position, you can observe the entire room, but your figure will not be visible. I have a very accurate sense of hearing. For example, I can even hear the sound of my cat jumping on the sofa in the living room while I am in my room on the 2nd floor. I have a sharp feeling if something is not right. And I feel that feeling now. Suddenly the phone rang. Without suspicion I got up from bed to answer it. But what I heard was the sound of breathing with the same rhythm as my own. I closed it. All the lights were off. I was sure I had left the living room light on. So I went downstairs to turn on the lights. My eyes immediately widened when I found the back door wide open. I quickly tiptoed over the furniture and didn't walk on the usual path because I wanted to close the door immediately. I thought, it's no use jumping, anyway the distance to the door won't be shorter. I considered it a reflex action. The pitch black situation made me sharpen my hearing. While feeling the walls, I stepped into the kitchen. Arriving in the kitchen, I took a large knife lying in the sink, then prepared to attack. I tried to control my fear. Then I heard the sound of dripping water in the sink. I reached out to feel the faucet cover, which turned out to be tight. Then I felt the light switch and pressed it. When the light was on, I saw a terrifying sight that made me shocked. The source of the dripping sound that I had heard earlier. My cat's body was hanging above the sink, its body cut open from the neck down. Its blood was pooling in the sink, and the dripping sound was its blood dripping through its tail. My hands and knife were covered in blood. There was something written on the kitchen table in blood. Look with your ears, not your eyes. Or you'll be really surprised. Then without any warning the lights suddenly went out. As my eyes began to adjust, I sharpened my hearing to detect any sound. The sound of blam echoed from the back door. I was so surprised that I jumped until my body hit the refrigerator. The sound of blam continued but became quieter and quieter until it was no longer audible. I went back along the wall and felt for the closet door, then grabbed my baseball bat. I stepped to the back door with the baseball bat in front of my face. I screamed as I opened the door. My father's body was hanging with a computer cable entangled around his neck. The cable was hanging from his room upstairs, and his body was hanging outside the window. As his body swayed, I saw a note stuck to his chest. 1 done, 2 less. You're the last one, so enjoy the show. Then I heard a shrill, evil laugh, raising the hairs on my body. It came from all directions. I listened carefully again, and I heard footsteps running quickly from upstairs on tiptoes. I ignored it, and went to check the electrical circuit box. When I opened it, I found a note that said, "The lights are off for a reason, you can turn them on if you want. But be prepared, the next scene will shake your soul." I tore off the note and flipped the switch. "I warned you," a voice shouted while laughing happily. And sure enough, I saw in front of me, now decorated with the corpses of 10 people I didn't even know, hanging in various positions. I fell to my knees watching it. Some were hanging from their necks, some were upside down from their thumbs, and some were hanging by their hair. Their mouths were gaping and their eyes had all been gouged out. The height of their hangers was about a foot above me. At that time, even though I couldn't hold back my tears, I still stood up. I decided to face whoever this crazy killer was. I walked towards the stairs, but my eyes kept looking at the corpses. Suddenly a sound like something rolling down from the top of the stairs was heard by me. After I looked, it turned out to be a bloody hand. Then again, this time a leg. Then a hand, then a leg, and finally a head. My mother's head. I gasped and pushed back until my back was against the corner of the room, then I turned to the mirrors around me. All the mirrors reflected the figures of corpses, and the corpses glared at me. My knees shook until I fell to my knees, and I began to cry tremblingly. As I cowered in fear because of all that I had witnessed, I then looked up and I saw who the perpetrator was. I looked up at the only mirror that was installed on the ceiling, and there was the figure of the killer, the monster who had done all this. It was me. My dream flashed quickly in my memory. I was a serial killer on the run. I slaughtered people from house to house. I killed all who lived as brutally as possible, torturing them first before finishing off my victims. I attacked the next victims every time I woke up. In the reflection of the mirror, I saw myself bathed in blood, standing with a cruel smile on my face. Then I heard my crazy voice say, "I told you, you're the last one." And without hesitation, I slit my own throat, still smiling as I felt my body stiffen and turn pale. As my vision darkened, I heard an evil voice say, "Welcome home."